Trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me on this one, OK? Trust me, OK? Trust me.
没有他的。
I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I was wrong.
你是莱姆斯，那不久对不对
I was wrong, I was wrong. すみません I'm sorry, I'm sorry. すみません。不会难喝啊。
哇，好想拿到这个哦！
对啊，我想要那个。
我想要酸白
我想要那个，我想要部队锅。
我真的想要酸白锅。
想要酸白，越煮越好吃。
哎，没有
掉下去了。
换。
哎，其实它很轻哎，因为你推一下就很远。它比想中，你一定要推很小力。
哎呦，
哎呦啊，那个马克杯。
对，这边的话是一个马克杯，然后还有一个蓝牙。
你看你手都没有啊？
不平衡，
不平衡啊！大家不要
不平衡。怎么那么好？你要认真给我吗？你有耳机了。
给你。
那你有马克杯吗？
谢谢啊。
那你有农乳锅？
我没有，
我没有。
你没有农乳锅，一定拿。
因为我刚才想要，
不是，我一定会拿到那个酸白菜，我一定会推到。
大家不能选，
我一定会推到。
现在我觉得最
さあ始めましょうか。ホーネット攻撃隊発艦始めなさい。元より相打ち覚悟よ。
费用比较大，对，像是5倍的正义圣器，那它唯一能够对到前期的大概就只有3倍巴罗夫，可是巴罗夫还要达到扫把。
この戦い、ホーネットの戦果が大きいっていうの？
当然の結果だ。
Hello, my name is Harrison Lee. I'm a professional competitive yo-yoer and 3-time Canadian national yo-yo champion. Today I've been challenged to demonstrate yo-yo tricks in 26 levels of increasing complexity. Today we'll be focusing on yo-yo tricks using an unresponsive yo-yo. That means we'll not be going into tricks that use multiple yo-yos or yo-yos that go off the string. This is an endless journey into yo-yoing. Yo-yo tricks continuously evolve and transform. It's very similar to a hip-hop dance where dancers will start with some fundamentals and then build up into their own combinations. This is my interpretation of the challenge. Complexity is defined as additional movements, additional elements that are combined in these tricks, and layers and precision and control required. So there are two main different categories of yo-yoing. There's the responsive yo-yos and unresponsive yo-yos. For the first few levels, we're going to start with a responsive yo-yo. Level 1, downward sleeper. So the downward sleeper is the first trick that everybody learns when they start to yo-yo. It's the simplest trick and it involves throwing the yo-yo down, letting it spin for a bit at the very end or sleep, and then bringing it back up. So to begin this trick, you start with your arm faced out and a muscle formation, and then you extend your arm and then flick your wrist at the very end. The flick of the wrist at the very end is super important because that's what allows it to give the yo-yo the most spin. So it's very similar to, tennis or badminton, where at the very end, when you hit and flick your wrist, that's where you get the most power. If you don't do that, the yo-yo doesn't have enough spin, and then unfortunately, it'll spin out and die at the end, and you're sad. Moving into the next level, we'll be building off of the downward sleeper and adding an additional element that will propel the yo-yo forward. Level 2, walk the dog. Super common trick. It's the first trick that people will ask you to do when they know that you can yo-yo. Walk the dog begins by throwing the yo-yo down in a downward sleeper. You then rest the yo-yo on the floor, forcing it to propel forward, or you walk the dog, and then at the very end, you give it a little tug, and the yo-yo returns to you. When you're trying to walk the dog for the first time, sometimes you might not have enough spin on the yo-yo, so when it hits the floor, the yo-yo will immediately stop spinning because of the additional amount of friction. So a lot of professional yo-yoers will avoid this trick simply because how expensive these yo-yos can cost. And so when somebody asks you to do walk the dog with your $500 titanium yo-yo, yo-yoers cringe for a bit and think, do I really want to damage the weight distribution of my yo-yo and mess it all up? Going into the next level, we're going to be adding a few additional elements to make the tricks a lot more showy. Level 3, around the world. Around the world starts in a forward pass, and then instead of it returning to you, the yo-yo returning to you, you do a full rotation, or you let the yo-yo move around the world, and you rotate the yo-yo with your hand, almost like you're swinging it in a spiral motion, and then you return the yo-yo back to your hand. When you're doing around the world, it's important that you follow through with your revolution. If you don't, you have the chance of hitting yourself in the head. We're going to be introducing a mount to the next level, which will increase the complexity and the number of moving parts going on. Level 4, rock the baby. So rock the baby, like the name suggests, involves creating a cradle mount and then rocking the yo-yo back multiple times. Generally, a solid rock the baby involves 3 full swings, and then you drop the yo-yo or you drop the baby out of the mount, and then you bring the yo-yo back up. It's important that you stop between rocks so that you're not moving the yo-yo back and forth too quickly so that you remain in control. In the next level, things get a little bit more complex because we're going to let the yo-yo leave our hand. Level 5, skyrocket. The skyrocket begins in a downward throw. You let the yo-yo sleep at the very end, and then you let the yo-yo string and the slip knot off your hand and throw the yo-yo up in the air. As the yo-yo is midway in the air, it rolls back up, and then as it's falling down, you catch it in your hands. So when you're learning skyrocket for the first time, it's really important that after you let the yo-yo go off your hand and throw it up in the air, you have your eye on the prize ready to catch it. If you don't do that, unfortunately, the yo-yo will fall on the floor and you'll dent your $500 titanium yo-yo. Now that things are getting a little bit more complex, it's time to switch to an unresponsive yo-yo. So the unresponsive yo-yo is going to be harder because you can't bring an unresponsive yo-yo back up. You have to purposefully knot the yo-yo, which we'll be delving into in the next level. Level 6, bind. The bind is how you return an unresponsive yo-yo. So it's a matter of purposefully knotting the yo-yo, which contacts the friction surface on either side, forcing the yo-yo to come back up. This is the first unresponsive yo-yo trick that people learn because you need to learn how to bring the yo-yo back up. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of time winding it back up manually. So you begin in a downward sleeper, like our first trick that we learned, but instead of tugging the yo-yo back up, you rest your index finger on the front of the yo-yo string, you wrap around, you hit the yo-yo, and then cross the strings, and then give it a little tug to bring it back up. When you give it a little tug, you'll have a loop of string that will fall into the gap of the yo-yo. This will contact the friction surface, causing the yo-yo to spin back up. So the most important thing to remember is control, and to also have a really, really good throw. Because if you don't throw the yo-yo hard enough, it won't spin for a long enough time at the very end, and you'll not have enough time to wrap the yo-yo string around it to bring it back up. So in unresponsive yo-yoing, there are 3 main styles of yo-yo tricks. So you have your front style throw, which is where you're throwing the yo-yo down right in front of you. You have your side style throw, which is where you're throwing the yo-yo off to the side. And then finally a horizontal throw, where the yo-yo spins off axis. All the tricks that we've seen in the past 6 levels have used a forward throw. The next will be using a side style throw. Level 7, trapeze. So the trapeze starts in a breakaway throw. Instead of throwing the yo-yo in front of you, you make a muscle formation off to the side, you extend your arm, flick your wrist, just the same, and you land on a trapeze. So the yo-yo in this case is the man, and the string is the trapeze. So as the yo-yo is coming through that breakaway, you flick the yo-yo onto your index string, and it lands in a formation or a mount called the trapeze. As the yo-yo is coming through, it's important that you land the yo-yo on the trapeze. When beginners are learning this trick, the yo-yo will fall off, and so you kill the man on the trapeze. Level 8, brain twister. So the brain twister is a super impressive trick, especially when you're starting to learn how to yo-yo, and involves throwing the yo-yo down in a downward sleeper right in front of you. And very similar to the bind, where you go in front of the yo-yo, this time you'll want to go behind. And so you mount the yo-yo from behind, and you have 1 longer string segment, 1 shorter string segment, and you push the yo-yo into you. You force the yo-yo to rotate, and you want to do that 3 times, very similar to rock the baby. you let the string segment go and then bring the yo-yo back up. So the next level, things are going to get a little bit more complex because we're going to be combining two tricks that we've seen before, the trapeze and the brain twister. Level 9, skin the gerbil. So skin the gerbil, funny name, begins in a trapeze, and then you double mount the trapeze on, so there's 2 loops around your index finger on your non-throw hand. You unloop the yo-yo, and then you mount the yo-yo on your opposite index finger. You unmount, you do a brain twister-like motion, you dismount from the trapeze, and then you bring the yo-yo back up. For this trick in particular, control is especially important. You want to make sure that you're landing the yo-yo on the string and dismounting it correctly. Sometimes you may fumble and the yo-yo might not land on the string correctly, and so that precision is super important. Because the yo-yo trick is longer as well, it's important that you have a really good spin at the start, otherwise the yo-yo may die or stop spinning. So now we're moving on to the next level, which could be considered our first mini combo. Level 10, Mach 5. So Mach 5 begins in a forward throw, and you start in a split bottom mount. You do a barrel roll, and then isolate the yo-yo in the center of the string, and you rotate your index fingers around the yo-yo so it looks like the yo-yo is stationary while you're moving around it. It's very similar to, contact juggling, where the object is staying in one position and you're manipulating it. After you do 3 full rotations or 3 Mach 5 revolutions, you dismount and you bring the yo-yo back up by doing a simple bind. This trick requires a lot of control to keep the yo-yo in that single space as you're rotating around it. You don't want to rotate too quickly, but you also don't want to rotate too slowly because you're putting so much pressure on the yo-yo to maintain it in one space. The yo-yo may spin off axis and gyroscope. The key to maintaining that control is by pulling your index fingers away from the yo-yo so that it forces it to stay in that one position. And then when you're doing your rotations, you want to rotate at a constant motion so that the yo-yo doesn't stop spinning midway through. The next trick is going to involve a hop element, which is unlike any other trick that we've seen so far today. Level 11, Eli Hop. The Eli Hop starts in a breakaway throw, you mount the yo-yo in a trapeze, and then by bringing your hands together really quickly, the yo-yo springs up and launches off to the side. You then land the yo-yo back on the trapeze, and that performs one Eli Hop. The Eli Hop is super impressive because it's so unexpected. The yo-yo is stationary in a trapeze, and then suddenly it springs off to the side and hops out, and then you land it back on the trapeze. So it's very unpredictable, and there's so many different variations of the trick too, where you can do some Eli Hops which are much larger in amplitude, some which are much smaller, and you can combine various Eli Hops together to create a combo. Level 12, Boingy Boingy. Like the ones that we've seen before with the Mach 5. The Boingy Boingy begins in a downward throw, and then you mount the yo-yo in 1.5 mount. You do a single barrel roll, and then you have the yo-yo between your 2 index fingers, and you pop the yo-yo back and forth between each string segment, causing it to boingy boing back and forth. You want to do that a handful of times. You then dismount the yo-yo, and you return it with a bind. When learning a boingy boingy for the first time, it's really easy for the yo-yo to fall off the string mid-boing. You're doing your boingy boing, and then the yo-yo will pop off the string, and then you have to restart. So it's important that you have that control to bounce the yo-yo back and forth between those 2 strings, and you have a clear eye on where the yo-yo is at every given motion. So the additional complexity that we'll be introducing in the next trick involves a slack element. Level 13, Revolutions. Revolutions is a repeater. A repeater that we've seen before was the Mach 5, and very similarly the Eli Hop or the Rock the Baby, where you're doing a moment repetitively. But with the revolutions, you're manipulating a slack element. So you begin in a split bottom mount, and when you're in that split bottom mount, you pinch the string with your index finger and your thumb, causing the yo-yo string to slack. You then rotate the yo-yo string inwards and outwards from your hand, causing the yo-yo string to follow the yo-yo as the yo-yo spins through the air. It's almost like waving a fan. After you've repeated it a handful of times, you dismount from the mount and you bring the yo-yo back up. With the revolution, very similar to the Mach 5, it's really important that you maintain your momentum as you're doing each of those revolutions. If you start spinning the yo-yo midway through, the yo-yo slack formation will break, and then you'll have to repeat it again. Level 14, Brent Stole. So the Brent stole involves a new kind of element called the laceration. So with the laceration, you pop the yo-yo up into the air and you create a slack movement underneath the yo-yo and create a formation so that when the yo-yo falls back onto the string, it falls into that formation or into that mount. So with the Brent stole in particular, the yo-yo falls into a triangle-like formation or a triangle-like mount. One of the common mistakes when players learn the Brent stole for the first time is not slacking the yo-yo underneath the string enough to create a large enough loop to create that triangle formation for the yo-yo to land back onto the string. So the next level is also a repeater, and it involves a slack element, and you rotate around your non-index throw hand. Level 15, Yuki slack. So you begin in a side style throw and start in a trapeze. You then pinch your index finger and your thumb of your non-throw hand, slack the string by rotating it with a clockwise motion, and catch the string segment in a double or nothing. You then dismount from that double or nothing off to the side, hit the yo-yo on the bottom of the string, and slack the yo-yo in the opposite direction. You catch the string segment as it's going around, and then you repeat the motion again. So you dismount, you hop onto the string on a trapeze, and you slack it over into a double or nothing, back and forth, back and forth. After you've done your fair share of Yuki slacks, you dismount and you bring